Hi everyone, welcome to Chop Chat Cook. Today I'm very excited, I've got Jen in my kitchen with me, so welcome Jen.
Thank you, lovely to be here.
Oh, no thanks. So Jen has a burning passion and she's here to tell us all about it. So Jen, tell us a little bit about yourself and what drives you.
Well, first of all, thank you so much to have a chat with you. It's so lovely to be here. So my passion, my goodness, my passion is really supporting women in various stages of their journeys in the homelessness and the mental health sectors and where they kind of cross over. And this has come from many years in my own journey as well, personally and professionally. And it's such an honour and a privilege to be intertwined in a person's life as they navigate this really tricky and complex area.
It's just such a complex situation, isn't it? And it's really lovely to see you working in that space.
Oh, thank you.
And we're going to sort of explore that a little bit more. Jen has a background as a social worker and she's going to tell us a little bit more about that. But today we're going to have a cup of tea and chat about this. And Jen's brought in some lovely donuts as well. So thank you.
No worries.
So let's kick off. I'll pour the tea.
Lovely, thank you. Beautiful. Oh, yum.
Now the tea leaves will fall to the bottom.
That's okay. I don't mind a bit of tea between my teeth. Oh, thanks.
That's okay.
So would you like me to share a bit about my background and journey?
So that sounds, I think, really a nice starting point. So thank you.
No worries. So I guess this is all started from deep within me a long time ago, even in my own personal journey. So I grew up in the Brisbane, Ipswich regions with a single mother. For the most part, and she had a really tough time a lot of times raising us, making ends meet, dealing with men coming in and out of her life. And so I think even from a young age that really influenced me strongly around seeing the struggles that women go through and the structural inequities that they're up against despite trying their best. So there was something kind of always in there. And I consider myself a feminist from a young age, probably as a result of that, which I'm really proud of. And it kind of steered me into social work, which is known for its social justice values and supporting people individually, but also systemically, and trying to navigate those systems. And so, fast forward, lots of different positions and jobs, and finding myself working in the homelessness sector with women in crisis accommodation, and it just clicked. It just clicked, this passion that I have for understanding the world through the lens that I have, and daily life working with women who are trying to get through and do their best. And that's really harnessed my passion. Homelessness is such a broad spectrum.
And such a big issue. Like we know that women over 55 are the fastest growing group experiencing homelessness, and that's from the Australian Bureau of Statistics.
Absolutely. Fastest growing, most invisible, and often, at that stage, quite a lot of areas needing to be addressed, not just one.
Complex.
So it's very complex, very complex, and embedded in that, one of those complexities is our mental health. And again, that's also a broad spectrum, but people can experience many things under the umbrella of mental health. That can that can be things of heightened stress, depressive symptoms, anxiety to the point of panic, fears of engaging with people again, fears of going out into public and services because of your previous experiences or the barriers that you have faced previously, right through to PTSD, sometimes psychosis, The paranoia you might feel as a result of traumas that you've been through don't necessarily mean you have a mental illness, but those feelings are real. You know, recovering from a trauma. To say, you know, not to say anything about substance use as well thrown in there, as many people use that as a coping mechanism because of the stress or because of the worries and the anxieties. And so it's quite difficult to unpick just any linear path or any one way without having other issues come and weave themselves in as well. I worked with a lot of people, a lot of women recovering from domestic violence and in different stages of that. Early stages, experiencing, learning about what that is for the first time, accepting that, coming to face that, to terms with what they had gone through, to wanting to leave or wanting to stay, but how to do that safely. And then how to rebuild life after a violent relationship as well. Often the main issue for women who are homeless is that they have left violence and domestic violence in their interpersonal relationships. 65% of people who are homeless have left a violent relationship.
65%? That's high, isn't it?
It is high. That's of what we know, of course.
That's true. That's what's sort of reported, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, no, that's really high.
Yeah, so it's a huge issue in the homelessness space, particularly for women, because domestic violence is a gendered issue. So we find that the leaving process of a violent relationship is so complicated for women. It's the highest risk time in that journey, and often people try many times before completing leaving for good.
On average, is it eight times?
Eight times on average. So it's tricky. It's not easily intervened with, and there's no clear solution. There's no one size fits all, because everybody's experience is so unique and so nuanced. What's safe for one person might not be safe for another. So, yeah, I mean, that crossover of homelessness and domestic violence, and as a result, the mental health pressures and experiences that women in particular have, make breaking those cycles quite challenging, and it can feel like quite an uphill battle. If you are leaving and you have all you have left, and you are faced in a state of homelessness or living in crisis accommodation of sorts, often then you go, oh God, what do I do now? What do I do now? Where do I start? But we know that research tells us that one of the key links to breaking those cycles of homelessness and domestic violence is injecting mental health support at that time.
Oh, okay.
That's why, that's what I'm so passionate about, is inserting a bridge, if you like, of mental health support in the form of counselling for women in that period when they are transitioning from crisis to recovery, as a means of rerouting almost the next trajectory.
Okay, so you go out into the refuges, don't you?
I do. A variety of things. I do see women in crisis accommodation, and that's often called supported accommodation, where there are staff on site to really help harness that support that I'm offering.
It's really important, isn't it, to have that support there?
The support network is pivotal, really pivotal. Often the risk is people withdraw from shame, from fear, from taboo, and
not talking. It's not really talked about, is it?
Not talking about it. Yeah.
No, and I mean, this is one of the reasons why Jen's here today is so that we can have these conversations.
Yeah, absolutely. And the more we can normalise talking about it, and it is really difficult, the easier it can get, and the more welcoming and open we, particularly as women, can be, and invite a non-judgmental space for other women who are experiencing difficulties to feel more comfortable about sharing what they're going through. Yeah. So I think in that way, any of us can play a part in that space by opening up opportunities for people to speak, by demonstrating that it's okay to talk about hard things.
And I think that's probably a nice segue into, like, if people wanted to volunteer or help in any way, like you've got some ideas, haven't you?
Absolutely, definitely. So some ways we can all help is by talking to people from a place of authenticity. So really asking how you are, for starters, on an interpersonal level. How are you? And sometimes I've even said, how is your heart? Because it kind of cuts to the chase.
Okay. That's a good idea.
Yeah, or some version of that feels comfortable for you. You know, we're conditioned to say, good, how are you? But really, how is your heart today? So that's, you know, an interpersonal conversation thing. There are many opportunities for volunteering with the work that I do and in other services like women's support networks, women's groups and crisis accommodations. And another simple way is to pay it forward. That's a model that I use, and I know that some other places use it as well, around paying for your own psychology session.
Oh, okay.
And pay for the next person's.
That's a great idea.
So then you're contributing to both your mental health and well-being, as well as knowing that the investment you've just paid will support the next person who might not be able to afford a full session themselves. Yeah, that's right.
That's a great idea. So any we're just sort of coming to the end of the episode, so was there anything else that you'd like to add in closing?
Gosh, just in closing, I mean, I'm honoured to talk to you about this. I would love to talk to more people about this. So if you feel like reaching out, please feel free to talk to me at any time, either for personal reasons or professional reasons. But in closing, I think I know that we are stronger together. And because these are not new issues, they are long-standing patriarchal systemic issues. And so to inject change, we need the masses.
We do. I think that's a really good point because like working together, we can bring about change.
I believe so.
And I think also there's lots of other issues, you know, that we've talked about on previous episodes, you know, like that impact on women, like low levels of super, you know, those sorts of things.
Yes.
And women are predominantly caregivers, so you know, lower income, more probably part-time work. So there's lots of issues there that I think deserves conversations, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It's a starting point. Definitely. Taking away the power that the fear and the taboo have over many of us and the conditioning that we have around those topics. Giving a voice, practicing having a voice, where a lot of women have been silenced for many years and haven't been able to share or practice their voice. So to facilitate a way for women in particular and people to express their voice about difficult topics actually is more powerful than we might realise.
I think that's a really important point. And then just in closing, Jen's also set up a social impact business, or is it a business? Enterprise, I guess is more the word, isn't it? And it's called Fort Space. Thank you for watching and see you next time.
See you next time.
And thanks very much, Jen.
Pleasure. Thanks, Joanne.
But until next time.